In the next 60 seconds, an electromagnetic pulse could turn your entire life off like a light switch. No power, no phones, no cars. And 90% of Americans wouldn't survive the first year. But you're about to learn exactly what to do in those critical first hours that will separate survivors from victims. Today, I'm breaking down the 11 field-tested actions you must take immediately when the grid collapses, starting with the one thing you have less than 90 minutes to secure, or your family won't make it past week 1. These aren't theories. These are proven strategies from real-world disasters that will keep you alive when everything electronic goes dark. Welcome to Secure Pantry, where we turn panic into preparation. If you want to protect your family when others are caught off guard, hit that like button and subscribe, because the knowledge in this video could literally save your life. Now, let's get into it. Picture this. You're sitting at home, maybe scrolling through your phone, and suddenly everything goes dark. Your lights cut out, your phone screen goes black, you hear car alarms going off outside. Your first instinct might be to wait it out. After all, blackouts happen, right? But this time is different, and the next 60 minutes will determine whether your family survives or becomes part of the 90% statistic the Congressional EMP Commission warns about. So how do you know if this is just a regular power outage or an actual electromagnetic event? Here's the protocol that could save your life. First, step outside and look around. Are multiple houses dark? Are car alarms randomly triggering across the neighborhood? These are broader signals that indicate scale. Second, test vehicles. Try to start your car. Ask your neighbor to try theirs. If both cars were running moments ago and now neither will start, that's a strong EMP indicator. Third, check your battery-powered devices. Is your watch still working? Does your flashlight turn on? If basic battery devices function, but your phone, laptop, and car are completely unresponsive, not just powered down, but dead, you're looking at an electromagnetic event. Understanding the difference is vital because every moment counts. In a normal blackout, you wait. In an EMP, waiting could cost you everything. You need to activate every preparedness measure immediately. And the very first thing you need to secure before anything else is water. Let me tell you why you have less than 90 minutes to act. City water systems run on electric pumps. When those pumps fail, you have about 30 to 90 minutes before the residual pressure in the lines fades completely and your taps run dry. This window is brief and non-negotiable. Here's exactly what you do. Open every faucet in your house and fill whatever containers you have. Pots, pitchers, clean trash bins, bottles, and especially your bathtub. A standard bathtub holds about 50 gallons of water. That's not a suggestion. That's a survival imperative. But don't stop there. Go to your water heater right now. In your mind, visualize where it is because you need to know this before crisis hits. Shut off the intake valve first. Then you can access 30 to 50 gallons of potable water from that tank alone. Think about the math here. A family of 4 requires at least 4 gallons daily just for drinking. If you secure 50 gallons in that first hour, that's nearly 2 weeks worth of drinking water. But if you hesitate, if you wait even 2 hours thinking maybe the power will come back, those taps will run dry and you'll have nothing. The longest lasting lesson from real-world disasters, like the 2021 Texas freeze, is brutally simple. Those who acted immediately fared much better than those who hesitated. Purification can come later, boiling can come later, but water cannot be manufactured from nothing. Hesitation here has severe, life-threatening consequences. Now, while you're filling every container in sight, you need to think about your food situation, because your refrigerator just became a ticking bomb. The moment the power fails, your refrigerator turns into a countdown timer. You have roughly 4 hours before it stops keeping food cold. After that, everything inside starts its journey towards spoilage and potential food poisoning. Here's what you do immediately. Stop opening the refrigerator and freezer doors. I mean completely stop. Every single time you open that door, you drain about 10 minutes of cold air, hastening the spoilage of everything inside. Next, you need to triage the contents. Open it once, just once, and identify what will spoil first. Meats, dairy, eggs, these are your priorities. You need to cook or consume these immediately. Don't wait for dinner time. Don't wait until you're hungry. Cook it now while you still have some method to do so, because in a few hours, raw meat in a warm fridge becomes a health hazard. Your freezer, if you play it smart, can buy you more time. A full freezer stays frozen for about 48 hours if you keep it completely unopened. A half-full freezer, about 24 hours. Here's a pro tip that could save hundreds of dollars worth of food. Fill any empty space in your freezer with bottles of frozen water. This creates thermal mass that slows the thawing process significantly. And if it's cold outside, if you're in winter or even a cool fall, move your freezer items outdoors. Nature just became your freezer, and it's free. But if you're in warm weather and meat is thawing and you can't cook at all, here's a technique from the pre-refrigeration era. Coat it heavily in salt. I'm talking a thick crust of salt on all sides. This preservation method can buy you days instead of hours. But here's the mindset shift you need to make right now. You're no longer eating for pleasure. You're eating for survival. Your dry goods and canned foods are your reliable foundation. Segregate your perishables and prioritize their consumption in order of how quick.
Rice, beans, pasta, oatmeal, these are your long-term friends. Treat them with respect and ration them carefully. Speaking of resources you need to secure immediately, let's talk about something most people completely overlook until it's too late. Physical cash. When the grid collapses, so does digital money. Think about that for a second. Your bank account, your credit cards, your Venmo, your Apple Pay, all of it becomes worthless the moment the power goes down. ATMs won't work, card readers are dead, apps are useless. For the foreseeable future, physical currency and barter will be your only means of trade. So here's what you do right now. Gather all the cash in your house. Search your wallet, your emergency stash, that jar of change in the closet, even forgotten birthday cards that might have a 20 tucked inside. Secure every dollar you can find and pay special attention to small bills. Ones, fives, tens, these are gold in a crisis. Why? Because when society breaks down, nobody can make change for a $100 bill. Nobody will want to, and more importantly, nobody will trust that kind of transaction. Think about it. If you're trying to trade a $100 bill for a can of food, you're either not getting change back or you're not getting the food. Small bills give you flexibility and buying power in a collapsed economy. And here's a critical point. Don't advertise your cash reserves. Keep them safe, keep them hidden, and use them strategically and discreetly. We know this works because we've seen it in real-world scenarios. After Hurricane Maria devastated Puerto Rico, digital wealth was worthless for weeks. The only people who could trade, who could buy necessities, were the ones with physical cash in hand. Your bank account might show thousands of dollars, but if the network is down, that number on a screen means absolutely nothing. Now let's talk about something that will fundamentally change your mobility and options in an EMP scenario: your vehicle. Modern vehicles are essentially computers on wheels. Any car built after the mid-1980s contains electronic control units that are vulnerable to electromagnetic pulses. The Department of Transportation has run studies confirming that roughly 90% of vehicles on the road today would suffer critical failure in a high-altitude EMP event. That means the car sitting in your driveway right now probably won't start. Here's what you need to do immediately if an EMP hits. If it's safe to do so, disconnect your car battery. Remove both terminals to isolate the electronics and prevent any further damage from potential power surges or residual effects. This is a protective measure that might preserve some functionality depending on the severity of the pulse. But you also need to know your vehicle. If you happen to own a pre-1980s car with mechanical ignition, or better yet, an old diesel truck, you might be one of the lucky few with a working vehicle. These older mechanical vehicles have far fewer vulnerable electronic components. They were built in an era before computers controlled every function, and that simplicity becomes a massive advantage. However, for most of you, the reality is stark. If your car is dead, you're staying local. You're not evacuating to that cabin 3 states away. You're not driving to your parents' house across the country.
Your entire survival strategy must now revolve around your immediate neighborhood and whatever you can reach on foot or bicycle. Transportation shapes every single subsequent decision you make. Plan accordingly. But even if your car is fried and your phone is dead, there's still hope for preserving some technology if you act fast with what I'm about to show you. Not every electronic device will be destroyed in an EMP, especially those that were turned off, unplugged, or just got lucky. But your goal now is to protect what's left and prevent any further damage from potential power surges or residual effects. This is a protective measure that might preserve some functionality depending on the severity of the pulse. Here's the simplest method. Get a metal trash can with a tight-fitting lid. Line the inside with cardboard to prevent direct metal contact with your devices. This is important because you don't want your electronics touching the metal directly. Now, store critical items inside: battery-powered radios, spare batteries, flashlights, and any backup electronics you want to protect. When you seal that lid, you've created a basic Faraday cage that can block electromagnetic pulses. Don't have a metal trash can? Here's another method: heavy-duty aluminum foil. Wrap your device first in cloth or paper, then wrap it in 3 layers of aluminum foil with the shiny side facing in. Double up with plastic bags for added insulation between layers. It sounds simple, almost too simple, but amateur radio operators ran tests in 2024 showing these DIY techniques block over 95% of EMP frequencies. Why does this matter so much? Because having one functioning radio isn't just convenient, it's survival. A working radio means information when everyone else is blind. It means knowing if help is coming, if the situation is getting better or worse, if there are threats approaching your area. A functioning flashlight means you can navigate safely at night while others stumble in darkness. These aren't luxuries. These are tools that dramatically increase your survival odds. Take 30 minutes right now, today, and build at least one Faraday container. Stock it with a battery radio, spare batteries, a flashlight, and maybe a backup phone even if the cell towers are down. You might still use it as a camera or for stored information. When the pulse hits, you'll be grateful you did. But technology isn't the only thing that fails in a grid-down scenario. Communication fails too. And that brings us to one of the most overlooked aspects of disaster preparedness. When an EMP hits, your cell phone
group chats disappear. You can't call, can't text, can't check if your loved ones are safe. If you haven't planned for this scenario ahead of time, you're going to make desperate, dangerous decisions trying to find your family. So here's what you establish right now, today, before crisis hits. Designate a rally point. This is a clear, agreed-upon location where your family will converge no matter what. Don't leave this to improvisation during the emergency. Sit down with your spouse, your kids, your parents, whoever is in your immediate circle, and decide, if communications go down, where do we meet? Is it your home, a relative's house, a specific park or landmark everyone knows? Make sure every single person in your family knows this location and the route to get there. If you have children in school, you need to understand your local school's reunification plan right now. How does the school handle emergencies when parents can't be contacted? What's their protocol for releasing students? Where do you pick them up? Don't wait for a disaster to figure this out. Call the school, get the information, and make sure your kids know what to expect. But what if home isn't safe? What if there's a fire or flooding or your neighborhood becomes dangerous? You need backup meeting points. Establish a second location, even a third. Layer your plans so that no matter what happens, your family has a path to reunite. Here's another critical strategy. Designate an out-of-state contact. This sounds counterintuitive, but during regional disasters, long-distance phone lines often work even when local networks are completely overwhelmed. Choose a trusted friend or family member who lives far away, different state, different region, and make them your information hub. Everyone in your family checks in with this person, who then relays updates to others. It creates a communication bridge when direct contact is impossible. And here's the most important part. Rehearse these plans regularly. Talk about them. Walk through them. Make sure a 7-year-old can tell you where the rally point is. Make sure your teenager knows the out-of-state contact's phone number by heart. During an actual grid failure, the families who maintain connection are the ones who planned for disconnection. Once you've secured water, preserved food, gathered cash, assessed your vehicle, protected critical devices, and established communication protocols, you need to face a hard truth about your supplies. Survival depends on honest assessment and strategic consumption. You need to inventory immediately. I mean right now, in the first few hours after the grid goes down. List every edible item in your home, the quantity, and the caloric content if you know it. This isn't about being obsessive. This is about survival math. The average adult needs about 2,000 calories per day to maintain their current weight and energy levels. But in a crisis, you can ration down to about 1,500 calories per person and still function reasonably well for extended periods. That difference, 500 calories per day, is what stretches a 30-day supply into a 40-day supply. It's what keeps your family fed when others are starving. Focus your meal planning on efficiency, not variety or taste. Rice and beans, pasta with canned sauce, oatmeal. These are calorie-dense, shelf-stable foods that provide energy without waste. Start thinking of food as fuel, not entertainment. Every meal should have a purpose: maintaining strength, maintaining health, maintaining the ability to work and defend and survive. And here's a decision you need to make early, before neighbors start knocking on your door. What are you willing to share? Determine right now what you can give without endangering your own family's survival. Some people adopt a hard line: nothing for anyone outside their immediate family. Others set aside a small percentage, maybe 10%, for charity or building community goodwill. There's no right answer, but you need to decide before you're standing at your door looking at a desperate neighbor holding a hungry child. Make the decision now, when you can think clearly, so you don't have to make it in the heat of the moment. And speaking of neighbors and other people, we need to talk about security, because disaster transforms social dynamics in ways most people aren't prepared for. When the grid goes down, when food gets scarce, when people get desperate, they will do things they would never do under normal circumstances. I'm not talking about zombies or Mad Max scenarios. I'm talking about regular people who become desperate enough to break into homes for food, water, or warmth, not from malice, but from survival instinct. And you need to be ready. First, lock down every entry point to your home. Doors, windows, garage, basement access, everything. Board up ground floor windows if you have the materials. Make your home a hard target. Criminals and desperate people alike look for easy opportunities. If your house looks fortified while your neighbor's door is hanging open, they'll go next door. Second, identify your defensive tools. Hopefully you have firearms and training, but if you don't, you work with what you have. Baseball bats, heavy flashlights, bear spray, even a kitchen knife. Anything is better than nothing. Position these tools strategically around your home where you can access them quickly if needed. Third, if you're with family or a group, establish a watch schedule. Rotate awareness, 4 hours on, 4 hours off, something sustainable. Exhaustion impairs decision-making and reaction time. You need people alert and rested, not everyone awake for 72 hours straight until they collapse. And here's a critical principle: maintain a low profile. Don't broadcast your resources. If you're the only house with lights burning bright thanks to a generator, you've just painted a...
If cooking smells are wafting from your windows while everyone else is eating cold food, you're advertising. Practice the gray man principle. Blend in, don't attract attention, appear just as affected as everyone else. But here's the thing: you can't survive completely alone. Individual households trying to go it alone are vulnerable. This is where building community becomes crucial. And I mean real community, not just friendly waves to neighbors you barely know. Talk to your trusted neighbors right now, before disaster strikes. Who has medical training? Who has tools? Who has skills in construction, gardening, mechanics? Who has firearms and knows how to use them? A network of 5 or 6 trusted households watching each other's backs is exponentially safer than one family trying to defend themselves alone. You share intelligence, you share security shifts, you share skills. But be discerning. Not everyone is trustworthy, especially when resources get scarce. Choose your allies carefully based on character, competence, and shared values. The wrong alliance can be more dangerous than no alliance at all. Now, here's where most people's planning stops, but it's actually where the real challenge begins: the long-term mindset. An EMP event might not resolve in days or weeks. It could last months. It could last years. The Congressional EMP Commission's report suggests that if the power grid suffered a severe, widespread EMP attack, restoration could take anywhere from several months to multiple years, depending on the damage to transformers and generation facilities. You need to transition mentally from short-term survival to sustainable living, and that requires a fundamental psychological shift. First, establish structure and routine. This might sound trivial when you're worried about food and water, but human psychology craves order amid chaos. Set regular hours for waking up, eating meals, doing work, and going to sleep. Routine stabilizes the mind and prevents the psychological deterioration that comes from aimless existence. Second, assign roles and responsibilities. One person manages water collection and purification, another handles cooking and food rationing, another oversees security, another maintains information gathering if you have a working radio. Divide the labor so everyone has purpose and contribution. People with purpose are resilient. People sitting idle become depressed, anxious, and eventually liabilities. Third, set small, achievable goals every single day. Maybe today you reinforce a door. Tomorrow you inventory tools in the garage. The next day you set up a rainwater catchment system. These small wins maintain morale and create a sense of progress, even when the big picture looks hopeless. You're not just surviving, you're improving your situation incrementally. And here's what nobody talks about, but everyone needs to hear. Mental health matters as much as physical health. Boredom and fear erode resilience faster than hunger in many cases. Survivors of prolonged sieges, Sarajevo, Leningrad, countless others throughout history, demonstrate that resilience comes from maintaining culture, connection, and purpose, not just meeting physical needs. Read books, play board games, make music if you have instruments, tell stories, teach skills to children. Maintain your humanity and your family's humanity. The moment you reduce existence to pure survival, eating, sleeping, guarding, is the moment you begin to break psychologically. You're not animals, you're human beings, and human beings need more than food and water. They need meaning. And here's something crucial to understand. Even if an EMP never happens, every single strategy I've outlined applies to hurricanes, ice storms, cyber attacks on infrastructure, a cascading grid failure, any extended grid down scenario. By adopting this framework now, you're not just preparing for one specific disaster, you're building a foundation of resilience that serves you regardless of what crisis comes. The odds of a catastrophic EMP tomorrow are slim. The intelligence exists, the capability exists among adversaries, but probability remains low. However, the odds of experiencing some kind of major disruption, a hurricane, a winter storm, a cyber attack on infrastructure, a cascading grid failure, those odds are much, much higher, and the skills and mindset you develop for EMP preparation translate directly to those scenarios. So let's talk about getting started, because I know what some of you are thinking. This sounds expensive. I can't afford all this. Here's the truth. Many people assume preparedness requires vast wealth or specialized expensive equipment. It doesn't. You can build a baseline 90-day supply of food for a family of 4 for under $200 if you shop smart and focus on staples. Rice, beans, pasta, oats, canned vegetables, salt, oil. These aren't exotic items. They're available at any grocery store, and they last for years when stored properly. Start small. This week, buy an extra 10-pound bag of rice. Next week, grab extra canned goods. The week after that, focus on water storage containers. You don't have to do everything at once. Incremental preparation is still preparation, and it's infinitely better than nothing. And most of what I've taught you today doesn't cost anything. Knowing how to assess an EMP event costs nothing. Understanding that you have 90 minutes to fill containers with water costs nothing. Learning to disconnect your car battery costs nothing. Designating a family rally point costs nothing. Establishing a watch schedule costs nothing. Building a Faraday cage from a trash can and cardboard may be $20. The most valuable thing isn't your stockpile, it's your knowledge and your mindset. It's the ability to stay calm while others panic. It's the wisdom to act decisively in the first critical hours. It's the mental resilience to endure months of hardship without breaking. These things
They have to be learned, practiced, and internalized. So here's what I want you to do right now, today, before you click away from this video. Pick 3 actions from everything I've covered and commit to them. Maybe you designate a family rally point and have that conversation tonight at dinner. Maybe you go buy a metal trash can and build your first Faraday cage this weekend. Maybe you start a food inventory and figure out exactly how many days your current supplies would last. 3 actions. That's it.
Don't overwhelm yourself trying to do everything at once. Pick 3, execute them, and then come back and pick 3 more. Momentum builds on itself. Progress creates confidence. And 6 months from now, you'll look around at your preparation and realize you've built something substantial without even feeling the burden. The people who survive catastrophic events aren't the ones with the most money or the biggest bunkers. They're the ones who prepared mentally and practically for the possibility. They're the ones who took small, consistent actions over time. They're the ones who stayed calm when everyone else panicked because they already knew what to do. EMP scenarios are low probability but high consequence events. The steps I've detailed today forge a healthy mindset and a reliable protocol for any disaster. Whether you face power outages, supply chain interruptions, cyber attacks, or full grid-down emergencies, the right habits reduce panic and build resilience. Preparation isn't paranoia, it's responsibility. It's taking care of the people you love by refusing to be a victim of circumstances. It's recognizing that the world is unpredictable and choosing to face that unpredictability with knowledge, supplies, and a calm, capable mindset. So stay calm, stay ready, and remember, when the moment comes, you'll be confident and capable while others panic. That peace of mind starts today with simple steps that build tomorrow's security. If you found this video valuable, hit that like button and subscribe to Secure Pantry. We're here to help you transform panic into preparation, one practical step at a time. Drop a comment below and tell me, what's your biggest concern in a grid-down scenario? Have you started preparing? What did you secure first? Your input helps refine our content and supports others on their preparedness journey. And next week, I'm breaking down 5 forgotten pantry staples that last over 20 years and actually taste good. Foods your great-grandparents relied on that most people have completely forgotten. You won't want to miss it. Until then, take action, start small, build consistently, and know that every step you take today is an investment in your family's future safety and your own peace of mind.